about now? Oh, there we go. Okay, so our time is limited because I know you guys have got that seminar, so I'll try to get through these as fast as I can. And if you have to leave in the middle of me talking, oh, that's not going to work, is it? Man. Yeah. It's okay. All right, so what I'm trying to say is if you need to leave in the middle of this, just go ahead, okay? And I'll just keep going. So problem number 1, we're supposed to solve minus 2/3 x plus 5/3 equals to minus 4. So I would suggest, since, as we've discussed, we don't like fractions, we do what? Multiply by 3. Multiply by 3. What happens then? Yeah. Distribute, I like that. And so we've got what? We've got minus 2x. Minus 2x plus 5 equals minus 12. Right? 3's cancel. And so we get minus 2x is minus 12 minus 5. What's minus 12 minus 5?
Minus 17.
Right? So x equals to minus 17 divided by minus 2, which tells us that x is actually equal to 17 halves. All right, we at least have at least one winner. That's good. That's good. Next up here. I'll let you guys go. So I'll try to have this posted pretty, sometime later today. So. It might just be me. You're not. Oh, I will have the non-freshman students left. I mean, all 3 of you. Oh, you got your computer? You're good? All right. Fair enough.
Do you think she'll get mad though if we're not here?
Just mute it. You'll be fine. I mean, you won't be able to tell as long as you're not both in the thing. Like, make sure you're looking at that background. Like, it's good. It's dorm room, classroom. It's all good. All right. So this we do what? We distribute. We could also divide both sides by 2 if we liked. Like that's another distribute. Okay. So we have 2x minus 6, right? 8x. So that tells us that minus 6 is equal to 8x minus 2x, right? Which tells us that minus 6 is equal to 6x, which tells us that minus 1 is equal to x, right? Dividing both sides by 6. And so for reasons of style, I insist on writing the x on the left-hand side, and I just...
Okay, let's go.
All right. See? Yeah. See, you guys can do this. It's not... It's possible. Now this one here, this one's trickier, right? We either need to use plus minus or we need to solve 2 equations. You want to do we want to do 2 equations? Okay, so we got 10 minus 3x equals to 13, or 10 minus 3x. You're fine. I mean, if you need to take the call, I'll take the call. So here's our 2 equations, right? Either 10 minus 3x equals to 13, or 10 minus 3x equals to minus 13. So we get what? We get 10 minus 13 equals to 3x. So that tells me that or that tells me minus 3 is equal to 3x. So I get x equals to minus 1 on this side case, right? And on the other side, I get 3x is equal to, So 10 plus 13 equals to 3x, right? Move the 3x over, add 13 to both sides. This is 23 is 3x, so that says x is equal to 23 thirds. Mm-hmm. Well, if you did one part right and you made an attempt at the other part, which has something at least moderately reasonable, you'll get more than half credit.
And like one part was 13 minus 10. Then the other one was, I think,
I mean,
negative 13 minus
negative 13 minus 10.
10. Yeah, and then that.
Well, that would be equal to minus 3x, right? So, but we'll see. But if you got the one part right and you did something reasonable on the other part, I would give more like 70% credit or something like that. Yeah. So let's see here. How about this? What is? Have I copied that down right? There was not absolute value bars in that one. X less than or equal. So sometimes if you're lost, what I do is draw a number line just to like try to figure out what I'm doing. So like here's 3, right? And we have x is less than 3. Where does that put x? Like, yeah, like somewhere over here, right? And so basically like this. So what in interval notation was that? Uh-huh. I'll take your infinity and trade it for minus infinity, but yeah. Yeah, so all the way up to 3. Right. That is equal to this set. Okay. Is 2 comma 2 on the graph of y equals 3x minus 2? How do we check? You put a tiny graph. A tiny graph. How about this? We just plug the number in, 2 for y, and 2 for x, and see if it works, right? I'll put a little question mark here. 3 times 2 minus 2, which is equal to what? 6 to 4, right? So, nope. I can erase the question mark. So, no. Not on graph. Two is not equal. If you put 2 is not equal to 4, yeah, that. If you wrote 2 is not equal to 4 on your solution, I can cipher from that you were thinking the correct thing, yeah. Next up, perimeter of a playing field, 300 feet. The field is rectangular, because I didn't feel like writing rectangular. And the length is 40 feet longer than the width. Find the dimensions of the field, right? So draw a picture. And I just got to label some stuff, right? So I'm going to call 300, well, yeah. What do you guys, what do we want to call the variable? Let's want to call the width W, okay. So that makes this W, let's say. And the length is 40 feet longer. I mean, my pictures, maybe I should make this the width then, right? Given my silly picture. And then the length is what? W plus what? W plus 40. All right. So W plus 40. And so what, the perimeter is what then? Yeah. 300, true. But it's also equal to what? It's also equal to W, right? The length, it's like W plus W plus W plus 40, right? Plus W plus 40 again, right? So the width, I mean, the perimeter is the sum of the lengths of the sides, which, if you look at that, that's what? 300 is equal to 4W plus what? Plus 80, which tells me that 4W is equal to 300 minus 80, which is 220. So W is equal to 220 over 4. I see I've not given myself enough room to work this problem. 220 over 4 is 55, I think. So what's the dimensions? So we find the width is 55, and what would you say about the length? 40 more. So the dimensions are 55 by 95. So you had that and then you erased it? Yeah. I'm sorry. But that's good. That means that you're close to it. Problem 7. How do we solve this inequality? How about, I would add t to both sides and I would subtract 5 from both sides. You do what? What? Oh, okay. Well, we can do it that way. Minus t is less than or equal to 5 minus 19, right? Which is what? Negative 14. All right. Yeah, minus t is, I'll write it down here again. Minus t is less than or equal to minus 14, and then do what? And what does that do? When we divide by... Yeah, flips. It flips the... like that, right? And there you go. That's the solution. Notice that, well, is that the solution? What did I say there? Did I say leave the answer in interval notation? Did I say give the, I said give the answer in interval notation and draw the solution on a number line, right? So I got to make myself some more space. So the number line, I'll start with that one. 14, right? And so like t, right, like that. And so in interval notation, that is 14 included, and this time we go to infinity. Yeah, I did in the problem statement. I said give the answer in interval notation and draw the solution on a number line. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, so like, if you did it correctly in a format that I can understand, and you didn't put the interval, I'm still going to give you a lot of credit. I just, you know, full credit would be the interval notation.
We understand it to some extent.
Exactly. I mean, translating the answer to interval notation is actually part of the problem, but this steps up here are the more significant, important part of the problem for sure. How about this one? This one is maybe the trickiest question on this test, on this quiz.
I did two.
All right, and so how do we have to deal with this?
I did 2 greater than or equal to 6, and then I did 2y minus 5 greater than or equal to negative.
Ooh, now you've got almost the right idea. And so, like, you know, as I think about things to put on your formula sheet, guys, something like this, an example, or you know, like how to work these, like that's an important thing to put on the sheet. Because the critical thing is, and remember I told you guys this one time, if we have the absolute value of A is like greater than C, or equal to C, that means either A is less than or equal to minus C, or A is greater than or equal to C. Like that's the sort of guiding fact, mathematical fact. So you're almost right. Just you don't put greater than or equal to -6 there. You put less than or equal to -6. So it is great that you understood there were two cases, but we have to. That's how the cases go. So you probably got half of it right again, because I'm sure you did 2y greater than or equal to 11, which gave you y greater than or equal to 11 halves for that side, right? And over here we've got 2y less than or equal to -1, adding 5 to both sides. So y is less than or equal to -1 half. Exactly. And so this would be the open interval, the interval including interval from 11 halves to infinity, or the interval from -infinity to -1 half. And so like I said, write the answer using interval notation, using a union if necessary. Here a union is necessary. So the answer is 11 halves, comma, infinity, unioned with, it doesn't matter which order you write these in. The union doesn't care. Like set theory, A union B is the same as B union A. Like it doesn't matter which one you write first or second. Like it wouldn't matter. In contrast, like does it matter which you write first, infinity or 11 halves? It very much matters, right? Like one is defined, the other one's like kind of nonsense. Like what's the interval from infinity to 11 halves? We don't do that, These numbers have to be in order, but the union doesn't care about order. Anyway, I'll stop talking about that. How about domain of f of x? What do we have to avoid? Set the bottom equal to 0 because that's what we want to not happen, right? So we have a winner. Let's see here. So that gives me 5x equals to -10, which tells me x is equal to -10 over 5, also known as -2. So the domain of f, we could say x such that x is not equal to -2. If you just say x not equal to -2, I give you full credit. Yeah. If you said exclude -2, I'd be like, fine. Just as long as the idea of like, and if you didn't say no, if you just said x equals to 2, that would still give you a lot of credit here because that shows that you're in the right idea. You can easily fix, my point to you, larger point is, the reason I give this quiz is to like come up on like little miscommunications like that so we can fix them before the test, right? If I ask this question on the test, then I've already got the major idea. I just need to remember to communicate it like correctly in the end, right? X not equal to -2. Oh, so since you already know how this works out, I shouldn't put it on the test because you already understand this one? I should put it on the test if you, I see. I will put many of the same type of questions on the test. They may not be exactly the same numbers, right? But same kind of patterns, yeah.
I know I have to study a lot of that. I'm going to do half this during the test.
Mm-hmm.
All
Well,
the questions at the beginning.
I kind of expect most people didn't pass the quiz. The quiz? Yeah, usually people don't pass the quiz because they're not quite with it. No. I don't expect everyone passes the quiz. It's usual for students to like have problems on the quiz and then you fix them for the test and everything's okay. So how about this one? Are these parallel lines? How do we, remember we talked about this last time, we talked about lines, remember we talked about parallel, perpendicular. When are the two lines parallel, when are they perpendicular? Same slope. So how can we figure out what this, I can tell you what the slope of the second one is, it's 1, right? What's the slope of the first one? Right? And so that gives us what? Y equals what? 10, well, y, so if I solve for y equals to what? 10 minus x, right? Ah! You have snatched victory from the, no, how's the saying go? Anyway, you're very close. Right idea. Just a plus minus, yeah. So once we do that, we can see what? Slope 1. This one has slope what? Minus 1, right? They are perpendicular. And of course, if I give you two lines, like, are they usually going to be parallel or perpendicular? If we just make up two random examples, probably they're going to be neither, right? They'll be skew. They could be other things, you know? Now this one, I asked for like what? Bunch of things. Yeah. Exactly. So we're going to have to look at the picture to figure that out, right? Let's see here. So it was like, what is it, minus 8? Minus 6 is that point, the open circle there. This one up here, if you look at the grid, you can see it's at 2 comma 6. This guy over here is at like, you know, yeah, 8. It's at 8 comma minus 4. And then this open circle here, this is called a hole in the graph. The hole in the graph is at 4 comma 2. All right, so we go down the list here. The domain goes from minus 8 all the way over here to 8. Minus 8 is excluded, but 8 is included. So it goes minus 8 to 8, but the 8 gets a square bracket because it's included. The range, what's the range? So that's the possible y values, right? So we go from what? We go from minus 6 all the way up to the, yeah, minus 6 to 6. And it's the same pattern, isn't it? The 6 is included, but the minus 6 is not, right? What's f of 4? F of 4 is not defined. It's undefined. And what's f of 2 equal to? 6. You got it. See?
I think if I could do my homework, then I would be able to do most of the stuff.
A gentleman in the back said if he could do his homework, he could do most of the stuff.
Can't. Like, it's still messed up.
Oh, you're saying is your homework is messed up, so you can't do it.
Yeah.
What is the problem with it?
It won't like it. It won't let you in? It won't let me in. I mean, I can tap on the assignments, but nothing will come up.
Did you contact the customer service or?
I tried to find it, or I clicked on the help thing, but it didn't.
Yeah, well, like the.
It popped up some stuff, but nothing like that did to help me.
Well, I changed the. You should. I changed the registration date. You should be able to get in there now.
No. I've been in it for like 2 weeks, or I don't know, a long time.
You have your, like, if you can click on it, you have your, like, pop-up blocker still turned on? Like, if it's not turned, like, if you have it turned on, it's gonna pop.